All right. Thank everybody for joining us on this final version of or the final edition of our artist training series. It's been a very interesting 10 weeks, and I really and sincerely appreciate everyone who has been with us and who continues to join us every weekend to get some of the information that we're about to share. Um, I would like to thank the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, Factor, TD Canada Trust, and Ontario Creates for their continuous support and the fact that they're always behind us in the events that we do. We greatly appreciate the support, and we hope that they continue to support us so that we can keep on presenting interesting programs. Yes, I'm hoping that everybody can hear me clearly. This particular, I'll say the workshop today, I feel is going to be quite interesting. And the reason I say so is because while I was preparing for it, I think I changed my program 3 times because I had to take into consideration what has been done in the past and see if I can put everything together in a wholesome fashion. And what became apparent to me is, as opposed to going forward with a summary of what has been done, there are some tips that I feel artists are supposed to have, some do and don'ts, you know. So I thought, okay, maybe it would be nice for me to start with those. And as I was creating the list of do's and don'ts for artists, the more I created them, the more I had more ideas. So today I'm going to give you guys 30 do and don'ts for artists. I'm also going to share some strategies on how to make money as an artist, and how to structure your business and stuff like that. First of all, I would like to start by saying that being an artist is difficult business, and not only being difficult because the world of artistry is difficult. No, I mean from perspective of, say, from an African background, you know, put it this way: growing up, that very few African parents that will see an artistic child and say, "Hey, I support your music, I support your art, I support your creativity." You know, reason being that it is, I feel, somewhat not understood. And for artists, there is no clear path to success. If you become an engineer, you get a job, that's it. You become a doctor, you get a job, then they know the outcome. But with an artist, there's so many, I'll say, there are so many loose ends that it's difficult for African parents to see past that and encourage their children to take up art. And why this is important is because I feel most of the artists right now have double minds. They don't give in completely into their art, into their God-given talent to explore it, simply because they've got a voice behind them telling them that maybe they're not worthy. Maybe what they're doing is not solid enough. And meanwhile, in them, they feel they've got this beast that the world has got to know about. They've got this art that the world needs to hear about. So it's really, I will feel, for every artist out there, for every creative out there, there is this fight in between them. And how do you overcome that? How do you make sure that the people who are around you understand your art, understand the value that you bring to society? Because believe it or not, creatives are at the forefront of almost all social change that happens on Earth. If as a business, if you're stuck, who do you call? You call an entrepreneur to fix it up. To fix it up. Why? Because entrepreneurs and creatives are those who think out of the box. They are those who challenge the norms. So please understand that as an artist, you've got a lot of work to do in yourself, and also to convince the people around you. You see, the tricky part here, and the reason why this is important is because I'll go. I watched the movie. I think we all have watched the movie Batman: The Dark Knight, and there was some point in the movie in which Batman was in this hole, and the legend has it that only one person has ever escaped that prison, the prison, an underground prison in a hole, and only one person has escaped the prison. And the way Batman could get out of it, when he asked how did the person do it, he was told, take off the rope that is holding you back and jump. So I feel that this is just a metaphor to say some of us are not able to take a full leap because we're constantly looking at what is behind, what is holding us back. So as creatives, I urge you to understand yourself, create a career path. Forget about the negatives that may come from family or friends or people who doubt you, and focus on what you do best. I feel doing that will cause you to advance. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've got 30 do's and don'ts for artists, and please, these are in no exact order. So number 30 may be very important. Some of you guys may be doing one of them or all of them, but just make sure that if I touch on any point that you feel is valuable to you, take note of it. And if it is something that you already do, okay, then kudos to you. So the first one I have here is always be willing to learn. You know, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of good books. There's a lot of good movies that you can watch that can show you how to organize yourself. Accept feedback. Feedback is part of learning, even though I'll say it's a bit tricky because there is feedback and there are naysayers. There are people who are going to be negative. Easily identify those who are naysayers and stay away from them because they will discourage you from achieving your full potential. Stay with those who understand art, and if they criticize your work or if they give you feedback, please take that seriously. The next one is create a niche. And this is particularly important for African artists. Why? Because as an African or Caribbean or artists that are supported by their community, most times before you're accepted by the rest of the world, you have to be accepted by those who are closest to you. You know, so take for instance, I usually give this example. There's a Togolese group. It's called Tofan. I listen to their music all the time. They are an amazing duo. However, it's very difficult for them to get booked. And even if they get booked, no artistic director, no event promoter is usually willing to pay them top dollar. Why? Why is it that if you go online, you see Tofan's videos that have more than 50 million or 100 million views, but then that doesn't translate into people actually buying tickets for their shows? It's because they come from Togo, and Togo is a very small country. There's not a very large Togolese population out of Togo. Therefore, they don't have that support base out of their own country. So we all, as an artist, you need a niche, you need a support base that you can start with and then build on that. If you don't have it, then think of ways to create it. Now, also in creating your niche, make sure that you're good at something, whatever it is. Have a style that is unique to you. And if you don't have one, work to create one. And this is important. I know an artist, this guy, he goes on stage, and the first thing that he does is he cracks a joke. And after every song, he will do something funny, he will do something stupid. So it became, people used to go to his shows, not only because he did good music, but because they know he's going to come with a very crazy, innovative outfit, and he's going to make them laugh. So he has created something about him that, no, you can listen to my track and you can enjoy my track, but you don't know the joke that I'm going to tell if you come to my show. You know, so that is something that every artist should think of. Think of something that you can do that is going to be unique to you, that if people who gravitate towards you will get only from you and from nobody else. That is how you create a niche of people who follow you. The next one is you should know your art. You should know your genre of music. You should understand the art, you should understand the genre of music that you're playing. Because if I'm listening to soukous, I'm listening to Afrobeat, I'm listening to any genre of music, that genre of music has got rules. Or when I'm booking artists, for instance, every genre that I listen to, I'm listening, or any new artist that I'm listening to, I'm listening to make sure, are they following the rules of the genre of music? Do they actually know what they are playing? Because some people or some new artists just come on and they feel they sound great, but they don't understand the music that they're playing. You know, hey, producer, give me a beat. I'm going to write a song for this beat. And they don't understand the music itself. They just play. Please stay away from that. Understand your music. The other point is, I'm now on point 5. Don't knock a door until you're ready. And the main reason for this is because you don't get a second chance at a first impression. But take, for instance, I book artists every year for Afrofest. Somebody who is not ready, who doesn't have their act together, comes to me and says, hey, I would like you to book me for your show. I look at what the person has got to present and it's not solid enough. And the person may feel that they're there, that they're good enough to get the show. However, in my perspective, they're not ready. It's going to take them a longer time to convince me when they finally get ready, because the first impression that I have about them is not a solid one. So as an artist, always take a step back, assess yourself. If before applying for a show, see what, go online, do some research, check on videos of that particular show, the previous editions of that show, the videos that have been done. See how the artists have presented themselves. See the kind of artists that they book. And then at that point, you ask yourself, can I present something of equal or better quality? Now, if you can't, don't apply. Step back and use that as your measuring stick to, this is what I want to get. I want to get to the point where I can perform like XYZ person. Now, once you get to that point, you can now create something and apply for a show, knowing that what you have is similar to what has been presented. Don't be the judge of your own quality. That's very dangerous, because you may feel, I've put in 20 hours, I've put in 100 hours in this, so it has to be good. No, the number of hours you put into your craft, it's not, it doesn't match to how good it is. You know, you can put in so many hours working on something which is not really valuable. So be careful, make sure you're ready before you apply for a show. Now, point 6 is, if you go out on your start and you have to start a show, make sure you start on a high note. If you've been given an opportunity to do a show, start with a bang, at a very high note. And if, say, you are a popular artist, people already know who you are, you don't have to sell yourself. People will come to your show no matter what, say, you're at the level of, say, Drake or The Weeknd or some of these very popular artists. Yes, you can start your show anyhow you like, because people already know what to expect. However, if you're still starting up as an artist, people have less tolerance to listen to you. So understand that if you don't start your show solid, you say, okay, I'm going to warm up into that. I'm just going to do something which is not my best material, so that when I go to the end and I'll do something really interesting, the audience will go, wow. Well, when you start the nonsense at the beginning, believe me, the audience will go, wow, and they'll walk away. And at the end, you may have all the great material that you want to present, but there's nobody to present to because they've left. So as an artist, when you're preparing for a show, if you believe that this is an audience that doesn't really know who you are, come in swinging. Make sure you have your best material up top. So point 7 is, artists, make sure you support other artists. Ask yourself, how many times have you just say, hey, I've seen this other artist in the community. he has produced a good song. Let me share this other artist's work on my social media to get some of my fans go to that artist. How many times as an artist, how many times have you done it? You know, so if you're not willing, or if you don't have the idea, whether it be prompted or unprompted, to know what's going on in your community, to know the other artists that are doing interesting work, and to make an effort to support them, the question is, why should other artists support you? And if other artists are not supporting you and other artists do not talk about you, then it's going to be very difficult to find somebody to collaborate with. It's going to be very difficult to get somebody to recommend you as an artist to other artistic directors, or say, hey, I may call one artist and say, hey, do you know any artist that I can work with? Well, the artist will say, well, this person is an artist. I know he's an artist, but he constantly promotes my stuff. Can you look and see what you can do for this person? You know, that helps. But if you don't work and promote other artists will not promote you. Now, point 8, most artists make this mistake of, when you're invited for a show, you just go out and perform that show. In my perspective, that's a mistake. Now, if I'm negotiating a deal, say, I'm sorry, this is COVID time, so it's different, but after COVID, if I'm negotiating a deal to perform at a paid event somewhere, what I would do is I would say, look, could I get, if it's a paid gig, I will ask the person, could I get 4 free tickets or 5 free tickets? And I'm not getting these free tickets for my friends. I'm going to look and ask, I'm going to say, I know there is Afrofest, there is the Toronto Downtown Jazz Festival, there is the Beaches Jazz Festival, there is Batuki Music, there is Monstrosity in Brampton. These are all people who are doing interesting, the Small World Music. These are all organizers that are doing interesting things. Why don't I invite these guys to my events? These are all artistic directors who are going to, who consistently look for new talent, who are consistently booking people. Look for ways to invite the industry movers to your events. Don't just say, okay, I've been invited to go and perform. Let me go there, go do my thing and leave. You're not maximizing that opportunity. And I'm going to talk a bit more about maximizing every performance opportunity as we go along the lecture today. But this is just one of it. So make sure you invite people to your event, and not only people who are going to buy tickets, but people who are going to see you perform, people who have got a say in your artistic direction. That's point number 8. Point number 9 is, now create content. You see, right now I'm receiving applications for Afrofest. And the interesting thing is, some artists do not have videos. So artists do not have videos. I'm not talking about music videos. I'm talking about videos of themselves performing. They don't have solid material that they can share with me and say, this is if you hire me, this is the quality that you will get. Now, I cannot use a music video to hire you for a live show. I don't know what you sound like. You know, it's like taking an untested gun to battle. You don't know if it will shoot. And if it doesn't shoot, you look stupid. It's my reputation on the line. I cannot invite people and say, look, I'm promoting this artist and present something which is not solid enough. Everybody's going to ask, did I do my due diligence? Did I actually check the artist out to know that they are solid? So it is very important that artists, when you go to perform, get material. If the event organizer cannot get the material for you, go with somebody who can create a video for you. Even if it's a short 3-minute, 4-minute clip, at least get it. Post it on YouTube, post it somewhere, let people see your work, and also you can share it when you're applying for events. Point 10. I'm now turning, just switching gears here to talk about grants. There are a lot of grant opportunities out there, a lot of organizations, Toronto Arts Council, Ontario Arts Council, Factor, Heritage Canada, some Ontario Creates, some of these organizations give grants to individuals, others give grants to organizations. Irrespective of what it is, make sure that you follow the instructions of every specific grant application. Every grant application has they have guidelines. Before you apply for a grant, read the guidelines. Make sure that you understand the guidelines. And if you do not understand, you've got a few options. One, you can look for somebody who knows how to write grants, who you know is a grant writer, and ask a few questions. Most of the grant writers will be willing to have 10, 15 minutes to help you out. And two, usually on every guideline, there is a contact number or an email address that you can email questions to. But be careful. When you're emailing somebody to ask questions, be polite, be straightforward, be nice about it. Treat them like they are the ones going to give you the money, because the respect that you show is what you get back. You don't want somebody to read your email and think to themselves, no, I don't want to deal with this person, or I don't think this person is going to be successful. Because even though these program officers, sometimes they may have a say in the final grant application. And if you don't come correct at first, it's going to be very difficult for them to treat you well once your application has come in. So when applying for grants, make sure you follow instructions. If you're not clear, please ask questions. Now let's go to point 11. Okay, when applying, this also deals with applications. When applying for a show, make sure you follow instructions. And in applying for a show, submit the material that is requested. A lot of times, I'll say, this is my, I'll say personal experience. So a lot of times I'll write, please submit YouTube videos. And the main reason why I say YouTube videos is because I know that artists may have MP4s on their phone. But if I start downloading MP4s on my computer, sooner than later, my computer is going to be full with music. I don't need that. If it's a YouTube video, it's a link, I just click on it, see what it is. And a YouTube link would direct me to your YouTube channel. And I can now use that opportunity to check out the other stuff that you've been doing. But if you submit, instead of following the instructions of sending a YouTube video, you send an MP4, chances are I may not download it, because some people, as crazy as it may sound, some people are out there who are who are ready to do bad stuff, and they send viruses and all whatnot. So you click on an MP4 file thinking that it's a music video. Meanwhile, it's a virus that is going to come corrupt your computer. So that's a risk I don't want to take. If it's a YouTube link, I will understand it. So these are a few factors that I take into consideration when I'm looking to hire an artist and when I'm looking at profiles. If I don't see a YouTube link, I'm not even going to look at it. And secondly, it's always applying for a gig is like applying for a job. Have your cover letter. Understand, take some time and do some research on who you're applying to. Know the event. So make sure that your application answers all the questions that can be asked. Because if it doesn't, I don't want to be going back and forth with an artist. Can you provide this? You've not answered this. No, that is not the best use of my time. So if I'm not able to answer those questions, there's a very high tendency that I'll think you're not ready, you're not organized, and let me move on to the next. We are for an event like Toronto Downtown Jazz Festival. When Josh spoke to us 3 weeks ago, he indicated that it's 1 to 5. So for every 5 applications that he gets, he's able to hire one. With AfroFest, it's about 1 to 3.5. So for every 3.5 artist applications we get, we hire one. So it's not like as if there are no artists out there who are looking for opportunity. We've got lots. So make sure that within your application, you distinguish yourself. Now, point 12 is your application should answer all questions. That's a follow-up from the point 11. But it adds that make sure if you have a question, you can feel free to send an email to the artistic director. But make sure that the question you're asking is not found on the event website and is not found on the flyer of that event. Because you cannot send me an email saying, hey, when is AfroFest this year? Meanwhile, as an artist, I've seen, I'm trying to apply for a show and the information is out there. You can find it on the website, you can find it on our social media. In my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, this is a waste of my time. You've not done your research. Why should I even bother answering you? And an artist may think, okay, he doesn't want to answer me. Who is he? He's proud of. No, it's nothing of that nature. It's just that there is just so much work to be done that one cannot spend his time on people who are not willing to do the work for themselves. Now, point 13 is also don't challenge. If especially two sources, either the grant program officers for grants and artistic directors. And when I say don't challenge, I mean don't ask questions. And I'll give you an example. So there was a lady who applied for a show, and within her application, she never indicated the country she came from. So I sent an email. I said, look, I've not seen your origin. Could you please tell me what country you come from? Now, if you're applying for a job, you cannot ask for somebody's age. The HR department usually do not ask for age, for sexual orientation, all these type of questions. It's out of place. But if you come to a cultural organization and you're asking to be hired for a show, it's different. So this particular applicant never gave me that information. The question she asked is, why do you need to get that information? If you're my art, if you like the art, then I'm more than willing to have a conversation with you. That is great, but understand that Africa has got 55 countries. I know on Google it says 54, but that's wrong. Africa actually has 55 countries, so Google is not always right. Anyway, so when you apply for a gig, and Africa and I'm looking at applications, I'm trying to make sure that the show is as diverse as possible. So I'm looking at, okay, north, south, east, west, central. Do I have artists from all these areas? Then how do I make sure that I increase each area? And then at the end, I just fit in. But I make sure that all these areas are covered. So if an artist doesn't tell me where they are from, I will not know if I'm backing one area more than the other. So while you are thinking that I'm trying to be biased, no, there's no element of bias. I'm just trying to create a fair playing field for every other artist. And the mistake is somebody may feel, okay, this person is asking too many questions. I don't understand why they're asking questions. So maybe they don't want to work with me, or if I answer the questions, it's going to show a weakness on my part. Nah. Once you don't answer those questions that are being asked in good faith, I'm sorry, it's going to be very difficult to get the gig. Now, the point 14 is create your own reality. And this is particularly important because usually artists have a tendency of having conversations with other artists. Artists go out and get rumors and say, hey, I applied for this show like this, I did this, and this person treated me this way, whatever the case may be. That's all nice. Go and have that experience for yourself so that you can tell your own story. Don't let somebody say, hey, Peter is a crazy person. I don't want, I had a hard time dealing with him. And based on somebody's opinion, you refuse to go knock that door. Because you don't know, maybe that artist himself did something which was out of place. And that's why Peter doesn't want to deal with them anymore. But to assume that since this artist that I know and I work with has told me that XYZ program director or XYZ grant officer or XYZ artistic director is not worthy of the position or not worthy, doesn't understand what they're doing. And then based on that, without even experiencing it yourself, go ahead and not knock those doors. You're doing a disservice to yourself, to your talent, and to your art. So please create your own reality, create your own experiences. And only then can you judge and say, yes, I did it and it didn't work. Don't allow other people's opinions or experiences to detect what you do. Point 15 is be truthful when dealing with the public. Yeah. The reason I I bring this up is because while I was preparing this series, I don't know what happened, but a story came to my mind. I was at an event, and while I was having a conversation, I was appreciating the artists on stage, and the topic of Afrofest came up, and I think it was 2016 or 2017. A lot of people at that time never quite knew that I was the one who booked artists for Afrofest. So in the group of artists, there was this artist who said, hey, yeah, I know the guy behind Afrofest. I performed for Afrofest. I performed for Afrofest multiple times. And he went on to say quite a bunch of stuff about the individual who runs Afrofest, not knowing that he's actually talking to the person who books artists for Afrofest. And strangely enough, 2 years later, I received an application from the said individual that I'm looking for a show. And it's interesting because it came full circle. When you're out and you're talking, you may not really know who is listening to what you're saying. And if you misrepresent yourself, say, hey, I've done this, I have this experience, I've got that experience, and I've done all this work. Meanwhile, you've not actually done it. Or you may say, I've worked with the Toronto Downtown Jazz Festival. Meanwhile, you don't know that I've got very close ties with the individuals who run that event. And so when you submit your application, I'm going to give them a call and tell them and ask them, do you know this person? And if they say no, you then lose your opportunity. So please be truthful to yourself in public, in your applications. And if you don't have any information, just admit it. Honesty is the best policy. Point 17 here. This one, I like this one a lot. It's difficult being an artist. It is quite difficult in this environment. Opportunities are few and the competition is high. So question that you may want to ask yourself, when you're applying for a show, what can I do to make sure that I am hired? One of the things that you can do to make an artistic director or somebody book and go, wow, I need to work with this person, is don't look at yourself as only an artist. Ask yourself, what other elements can I offer? So take, for instance, if you're an artist, yes, your music is what is going to open the door, but you've got a social media presence. You've got a community behind you. So if you're applying for a show, say an African artist applying to perform at Monstrosity. Monstrosity is an an Indo-Caribbean event in Brampton. But you're an African artist. You can apply for the show and say, hey, you know what? Even though this is your niche, this is what I bring to the table. I've got XYZ followers in the African market, and maybe the African audience doesn't know your platform or doesn't know how interesting you are. So if I come to perform at your event, I can pull my audience to see what you're doing. That way it will click something in somebody's mind. Wow, Let me hire this person, even though it doesn't fit into the box that I'm trying to create. But this person has indicated that they're going to give me something which I may not have otherwise thought about or I don't have. That's the way you open your door. But if you just come in and say, I want to perform, I'm an artist, maybe that is not enough. So think of the other elements that you may have that can boost you up to make sure that everybody who sees your application will want to work with you. Now, the point number 18, deliver on all your commitments. If you are hired to perform for 5 hours, perform for 5 hours. If you say you can perform for a day straight, perform for a day straight. Don't say you can do something that you cannot do. Don't sell yourself. Simply don't tell people you can fly to the moon. Meanwhile, you've never even gotten on a plane, that kind of stuff. No, don't do it. It's disingenuous and it will close doors faster than you think. So make sure that you represent yourself the way you say you are and you fulfill all the commitments of a contract. Point number 19, always practice. Now, artists tell me, Peter, you know, I just came for this. I would like to perform at your show, but you have to pay for rehearsals and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just like saying that, hey, you know, I want this job, but you've got to pay for my school fee. Nah, doesn't work that way. Except I'm telling the artist to do something above and beyond what they normally do, then yes, I will consider paying for that extra service. But as an individual artist, always practice, always be ready. So that when somebody's hiring you, they're hiring a finished product. They're not hiring somebody who say, I still need to practice. It's not a good look. Within the African community, sometimes that is accepted. You know, it's something that we've come to understand. But it will not fly outside of our community. And that should not be, I feel bad saying this, but we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. So if we know it's not going to fly with others, let's also just try to clean our own house and always practice, make sure that we are always on point. Point number 20. All right, getting close to the end. Meanwhile, this is not the end. We have about 30 points. After the 30 points, I'm going to give you some tips on how to make money. So this is just 20 points of the do's and don'ts as an artist. So point number 20 is be a student of the game. You cannot be great without studying. Study your craft. And not only studying your craft, study the genre. Study those who are in it, doing it. Study the biography of, the other day I was watching a video on Dr. Dre. And then I watched another one on Beyonce, and I did Michael Jackson, and I did Wizkid, and I did Davido. Study all these artists, their highs, their lows, how they come into prominence. And not because I'm going to be them or I want to be them, but at least I gained something from that. I learned how they overcame challenges. Being a creative is very difficult. And if you realize, what I found quite interesting is most creatives are either the sons and daughters of creatives, or they face very serious challenges at a very young age. So I never had parents. I grew up in the streets. Life is too challenging that I'm able to make so many risks without even caring. When, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, our families, from an African context, our families usually do not understand creatives, and they'll push us towards getting a job as an engineer, doctor, something they can understand, something which is more reliable. And there is always this fight as a creative, there's always this fight, or creative or an entrepreneur, fight inside us to do what our parents say and live our dream. You know, but make sure you study those who have done it so that it will inform us on how best to cope with some of the challenges that we may be facing. Point number 21, have a role model. Somebody that you look up to, somebody that you feel that you can call the person up when you have a question that you can ask at any point in time, somebody who understands music or who understands your level of creativity. And maybe there was a time I had one of my jobs in Ottawa, and my supervisor told me that, Peter, when you have a role model or a mentor per se, the mentor is going to you have a mentor for your level. As your level increases, change your mentor to match up the level, to match up your level increase. Don't stick with the same mentor. That's the same thing with an artist. Get a mentor that matches your level. The last time I asked, I was I was coaching an artist, and I asked the artist, who is your role model? So, I look up to artists like Beyonce, Alicia Keys. I'm like, that's great. When last did you speak to them? No, I just follow their career. So how is that helping you? Nothing. Be realistic with the people you choose to be your role models. People you can actually speak to. People you can ask questions. And when I say role models, I also mean, more like mentors also. So it's somebody who can help you in your journey as an artist. All right. Point number 22. Music and creativity is not a one size fits all. So don't feel that what you do should be understood or will be understood by everybody. That is not true. Make sure that if you're speaking to somebody, that person has got a tendency of understanding your art. And I'll explain why this comes into play. Two predominant music countries in Africa, the Congo and Nigeria. Congolese music soukous is mainly driven by rhythm. Afrobeat is driven by beats. Even though these two are very interesting, there's really, and they may be, at some points, they may intersect, but they're different. So understand, if you're a Congolese artist, understand the music, the soukous genre of music. If you are an Afrobeat artist, understand Afrobeat. And as an Afrobeat artist, don't feel that because the soukous market is hot, because there's so many, the people in the soukous market are doing so well, the artists are making so much money, let me try to create something that is going to fit that soukous market. You can do it, and some people do it, and it works. But let me tell you why this is very dangerous. As you're growing up in your craft as an artist, you create fans, and your fans love and respect you for what you do, for the type of music that you present. Now, as an artist, you feel that, let me explore something else. That's great. But what are you doing? You're not servicing the people who have been following you, because they were following you knowing that you're going to deliver something to them that they like. They never wanted, maybe they like soukous, maybe they don't. And you decide to do something because you want to gain more fans. However, forgetting that even though you're getting more fans, you're losing on some of the ones that you already have. So please be careful when you're trying to switch over from one genre to the other. It's not one size fits all. Be careful. The next thing is, do not daydream. And how do you daydream? As an artist, you look at the career of another artist, another successful artist, and you see yourself in that position. And so you see the way that other artist carries themselves, you see the way, and if it's a successful artist, they have attitude. And out of a sudden, you assume that type of attitude. You start talking to people the way the superstar that you're following talks to people. You're not there yet. You've not reached that, you've not had that level of success. So be careful. I say that's daydreaming, because you're assuming a position that you've not achieved. It's dangerous, because the people who are going to be working with you, the people who are going to hire you, maybe your friends, the artistic directors, the grant officers, they're going to move away from this person. I don't know why they're so proud. I don't know. And you may think I'm worth it, but that's not what everybody around you sees, which is it's dangerous for you in an effort as you grow and make an effort to get more fans. Now, there's something that I think I missed, which I should mention, is when you go to an event, while you're performing at an event, I mentioned earlier that it's always good to go with somebody who is going to create content. But not only that, make sure you go with somebody who is also going to watch the audience for you. Watching the audience, seeing people's reaction to your craft. Hey, did you like the performance? This is XYZ artist. Do you mind giving me your email address so that if we have some new material, we can email you about it? At every event that you perform, you can get 4 or 5 email addresses. At the end of a year, if you perform 20 events, that's at least 100 email addresses. Those are people who have watched you perform. If you're about to do it, don't email them every day or every week. Email them, say, once a month. You know, hey, this is a monthly update of what I'm doing. Thank you very much for your support. Those people now, that email base that you have, the email list that you've created now becomes your base. You know, people that you communicate with them on a constant basis. So what happens? At the end of the day, if you have something that you're doing which you feel is very interesting, those are the people who are going to come out and listen to you. You've inevitably created your own fans. So don't lose that opportunity. Don't just go to perform at a show and go by yourself. Go with somebody who can collect content and somebody who can work the crowd for you. The point number 26 is, this one is particular for the ladies. It's tough out there. It's a dog eat dog world. You know, a lot of this is a male-dominated industry, and as much as we would like to make it more diverse, right now, this is what it is. And considering that it's a male-dominated industry, most gatekeepers to various opportunities are men. As a lady, when you're going, create your standard. Understand what you want. And not only that, there are so many people, and I say this from personal experience, there are so many people who have told me, hey, Peter, I've been trying to contact you for 2 years, for 3 years. First of all, I'll say, look, I don't understand why, because if you just went on the internet, you'll find my contact information. And secondly, they will always tell me, I've been trying to work through XYZ person who says they know you, but for some reason, they have not been able to get me in touch with you. You know, this happens so much. And if I'm experiencing it, then I know that in the industry, there's so many other people who are blocking and this happens especially for ladies. Some other people who are blocking opportunities or who make false promises. A lady may go to somebody and say, music producer, or somebody say, I need this to be done. Oh yeah, I know XYZ person, I know who can do this, who can do that, and act so nice simply because they need something from you. And you as that lady, you trust this person to deliver. And finally, they don't deliver. What happens? You begin doubting. Every other person who comes after that, even if the person is able to genuinely help you, you're not able to see clearly because you've been burned so many times. So be careful. Create a standard for yourself. Know how to spot people who are willing to help and people who are just full of hot air. It's very important that you know this from the start. because if you don't, it's baptism by fire. Before you realize it, it may be too late. And some people have actually left the music industry simply because of this one factor. Be careful. Now, point number 27 is do your own research. False information is shared by those who have not succeeded to justify their position of being not successful. Hey, I tried this and it did not work. So why do you even bother trying it? It's not going to work. Look for something else. The industry is so bad. This is that, like all kinds of negativity is going to be propagated. And you ask yourself, as an artist, it can be really, really discouraging. So please do your own research. Let people inform you, but make sure that this information doesn't define how you interact with other people. It should inform you, but it should define define your career, your career. So one of the things that I feel that stops people from doing research is they think they already know. I've been in the music industry for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I've not really been successful. I have seen it all. I've almost done it all. People don't want to listen to me. So why should I go out and do more research? Well, if you've been doing the wrong thing for the past 20 years, you will not be successful for 20 years, and you've not done your research, so you're going to stay at the same point. If you start doing research, when you have your career plan, you do research, you know exactly what you're looking for, maybe things are going to change. Secondly is, some of us create mental blocks. There's a level of success that new information challenges us to. If we have information, we feel guilty if we don't use the information. I know about this grant, but I'm not able to apply for it. Maybe I don't have the skill to apply for the grant. So why should I even bother going out to do the research so that I will feel guilty that I'm not able to capitalize on that opportunity? I would rather just stay and not do the research and be a master in my ignorance, knowing that I'm a master, as opposed to challenging the limits of my knowledge to actually identify the fact that I don't know and there are gaps in my craft that I can know more and I can hold myself to a higher standard. That is difficult for some artists to do. So please don't carry yourself like that. Make sure that you're able to do you're able to take away all the mental blocks and go ahead and do research to challenge yourself. And some people don't do research because they feel that information is already there. I know the information is there. I can access the information at any time. So why do I even bother going for it? I can get it in time. That's a workshop. The workshop is currently on YouTube. So what's the point? I can listen to it at any point in time. I can guarantee you, as you procrastinate, you're going to keep on procrastinating. You would never, ever make that leap to do something else. Point number 28. As challenging as it may be, and as irrespective of how much negativity may come our way, we have to always keep moving. No, my grandma always told me, complain, but move. Don't sit and get so comfortable in your own tears. It's not a decent way to live your life. And my grandmom told me that, and I think it's true till today. It is not, there's nothing that is set in stone. We're always going to face challenges, but irrespective of the challenges that we're facing, we have to keep on moving. Point number 29, mind your friends and your associates. Your career as an artist is going to be greatly defined by who you associate yourself with. I can tell you right now, there's a guy in Toronto, that people who have negotiated some very, very shady deals And hey, I went and I negotiated this deal, and the next person comes up and tries to get the same deal, even though it is not good, simply because they heard that their friend did it. So mind the people you hang around with, because let their mistakes not be your own mistakes. I usually recommend that look for people who add value to who you are. Look for people who make you a better person. Don't look for people who make you comfortable. Look for people who challenge you to be your best and demand the best from you. Then point 30, define your career path. Who are you and what do you want to accomplish? Make sure you know this. Just give me 1 second, please. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, so please define your career path. Make sure you know what you want to accomplish, what you're gearing towards. This way, it's easy to align people and resources towards your set goals. There's also the element of don't get that's point 31, which is the last point. Don't get high on your own supply. Don't listen to you, because after listening to your own song 10, 20, 30 times while you're creating it, at some point you just tend to love the song and you feel, wow, this is a great song, because you've listened to it so many times. Familiarity, there's a psychological term, I think, that says the mere exposure effect. We tend to like things that we're used to, even if the things may not be that good. Considering that we're familiar with them, we gravitate towards them. Same thing with your music. The fact that you're the one who has produced it and you like it doesn't mean that the world is going to like it. So please make sure that when you produce stuff, take it to critics, people who will criticize it, people who would tear it down, but logically and constructively. Don't go to haters. Haters will hate and will discourage you. And you ask yourself, why are you even in the music industry? Go to people who you think can give you constructive feedback that will help you take your craft to the next level. So that has come to the end of the first section of this workshop. Now, the second, you know what? Let's take a 5-minute break. I'm going to come back at 4:05, and I'm going to talk on two things. One, I'm going to talk on things that I feel every artist should do right now. And two, I'm going to talk on how artists can make money from their music and otherwise. So I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for staying with us. It's been 5 minutes. I hope we all stretched and ready for the second part of this workshop. Please, if you're there, and two things: if you've not applied for Afro, if you are an artist and you like to perform at Afrofest this year and you've not applied, make sure that you apply because we're trying to finalize the list by the end of this week. So if you have friends, individuals that you think may be interested in working with us, tell them to submit their applications. We are accepting them. And it's not, we try as much as possible to be accepting to Africans, Black artists, to Caribbeans, to Black indigenous artists. We're open. So don't feel, I don't want an artist to feel that, well, maybe I'm not specifically from Africa, so I can apply. No, we are open. Please submit your application. Just follow the rules and you'll be fine. As I mentioned earlier, also, this is a workshop series, and I know I've been doing quite a bit of talking. If you have any questions while of anything that I've said, feel free to type it. Once I've finished the material that I've prepared, I'll be taking questions. So I'll go through the question and answers, so the comments that you've made, and ask any and answer any questions. All right. So before we left off, I indicated that I'm going to give you guys some artists, especially some homework. So the first thing that I would like every artist who's listening to do is to go to your email and create an email list for yourself. And how do you do this? It's quite a bit of work, but think for yourself and say, okay, I'm just going to, who are those who have sent me emails in the past year? Click on it, write the person's name and their email address. And is the person a producer, is the person an artist, whatever the case may be, just create a list of people that have emailed you regarding your art. You may have 50, 100, 150 people. Make sure you have a list like that. And why this is important is because I would like this to be your base. If you have a show coming every month, you prepare your schedule. You've got shows coming up. You can email your base. Hey guys, I have been booked for this month. Please check it out. Or I've got this project that I'm doing. I'm collaborating with this. At least keep people interested in you, keep people posted with the work that you're doing. So make sure that you create an email list. Point number 2, I would like everybody all the artists who have tuned in to do some research on all the festivals in Ontario, all the events that happen in Ontario on an annual basis. There are just too many. So do research, you'll come up with about 100 of them. And then look at them and say, okay, which ones, earmark 20 of them that you feel you can connect with what they are all about, that your art can connect with them. So the list of events will be about 20, will be about 100. Out of those 100, get a list of 20. Know the artistic director, know the event, know what the event is all about, and just make contact with them. Hey, I'm an artist performing in Toronto, like this. I've seen the work you do. I appreciate the event that you're doing, and I just want to introduce myself. In case you have any show, please let me know. But then make sure that you have to be ready. Go on their website to make sure that they are not hiring, because you don't introduce yourself to an artist, to an artistic director when they have a show that they're already hiring for. Just go apply for the show directly. If there's a show, apply for the show. If there is no show, then you can introduce yourself. Now, these are some of them you get response from, some of them you will not get response from, but I can guarantee you the tone of your email and the way you present yourself would tell whether you will get a response or not. If you're polite, if you're humble, and the quality of the work that you submit is great, you would get an email. All right, so that's the second thing that I'd like you to do. Third thing is ask yourself, who is your fan base? If you don't have a fan base, if you don't have a group of people that you can identify and say, these are individuals who will follow me through thick and thin. These are people who, if I say I have a show, they will come for my show. If you don't have that, then make sure you start thinking of how to create a fan base. Without a fan base as an artist in Toronto, it's going to be very difficult for you to make extra money. People come to me, and this is a complaint that so many artists always make. They say, hey, Peter, why is it that international artists get paid there and you guys don't respect local artists? A few things. One is scarcity. Local artists, you perform every month, you perform somewhere, we see you. So it's not like as if there's anything new. Excuse me. But with the international artists, it's not that often that they come in. So we know that they're going to bring in more people. But more so is the fact that when I'm hiring an international artist, I'm looking at somebody who can pull together 5,000, 10,000 people. So we are paying that amount of money to the international artists because we know the pool that they can bring. As a local artist, if you go to any artistic director and say, if you book me for this show, I can guarantee you're going to sell 100 tickets. You're going to sell 200 tickets. They will increase your fee. At that point, you're in control. But where you really have very little say is when you're just collecting a paycheck just to perform. Because the artistic director is taking all the risk, is telling his audience, I think this person is going to be good. So with the risk that are taking on you, the price drops. The higher the risk in this industry, the lower the price that you are going to be paid. So please make sure that, or please identify that if you're complaining about the price of the price that you're being paid, ask yourself, what do I have to offer? Is it just my performance, or there's something else that I think I'm doing that is going to increase, that's going to increase my return on investment of XYZ organization that is hiring me? So please, if you can do that, then by all means, I think you're going to be paid more. So these are the three things that I would like you to, as an artist, to do. Now, how do you expand your base? How do you introduce new people to your work? One way is by doing covers. So people do not, I mean, as an emerging artist, people may not know who you are. You know, they may not know who you are, how you sound, and it's going to be difficult for people to come to you. So you can start off by leaning on the success of other people. And this is done by doing covers. If you do a cover for somebody and the cover, you do it so well, then people may, in their mind, they will think this person has done this cover so great. It means that if the person produces material by themselves, that material has a tendency of being great. Let's follow this person and see what they can do. Have a relationship with influential people in the industry. You know, look, there's the Canadian Music Week, which is coming up. I don't know how many of you guys artists have applied for to perform at the Canadian Music Week, or if you guys even know that this event is happening, or what goes on behind the scenes. Be tuned in, know what's happening around you, know the various events that are hiring. As I said, if you could earmark or take 20 events that happen in Ontario, know when they're hiring, know the events that they do every year, and create a calendar which says, okay, at this point, I'm going to be applying for this event. You apply, you have that personal connection with them. per year, you may get booked 10 out of the 20. And the next year, if you do a solid job, that's your references are going to go up, you make more money. Spend some money on yourself. If you have a good song, if you've come up with a new music video, you've done some good work, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you can go on Google and just $100 spend. Promote the song for $100 for a week, a month. Google is going to help promote it for you, give you some eyeballs, help people to know more about your music. Now, once this is done, the more people will hear about you, more people will follow you, especially on YouTube. Very important, because it's a revenue generator. Before you realize it, you've got XYZ number of subscribers, and that becomes a revenue source. So these are the 3 things that I would like you guys to consider. Now we're getting into this point where I'm going to start talking money. But before talking about money, I feel there are things that as an artist, you may need to consider. Ask yourself, am I interesting? Would people actually come to watch me? And if the answer is no, question is, how can I make myself interesting? Question 2, what does my brand represent? And your brand can be anything. As I mentioned, there was a guy who used to crack jokes, dress funny. Some ladies use sex appeal. Whatever it is, have a brand, have something that you can be identified for. 3, don't change negotiation terms. If you've been signed to perform somewhere, you've signed a contract, go there, go perform. So many times it has happened. I've signed a contract with somebody. They come in and at the day of, tell me, hey, Peter, you know what? I'm not going to perform unless you increase the amount of money you pay me. No problem. I may increase it. I may not. There's sometimes that I say, I'm not going to increase it. Just walk away. I'm not, and you're not going to be paid. At that point, I don't think I'll ever like to work with you. Or I'll pay you the one time and I'll never work with you again. It all depends. And be trustworthy. When I say be trustworthy, it's not only to yourself or to the people who are hiring you, but also to the people who work with you. Now, one story, my experience stands out, and I think a lot of people some people who have worked with me know the story. So there was a time I hired a group to perform for us at a show. We had over about 150 people in attendance, and while I was sitting backstage, trying to put things together, the band members of that group came to me and told me that, hey, Peter, we've not been paid. I'm like, no, man, it's not on me. I've already paid the lead artist. The person you guys have said is your manager has received all the money. I don't owe you guys anything. I've got about 150 people out there waiting for you guys to perform. You guys need to go on stage. Now, they went back to the lead singer. Peter says you've been paid. Because he told the band he has not been paid. The band asked me, I said, no. Peter said he has paid you guys. So what happened is I now met the leader and said, hey guys, what's going on here? You've received your money, go perform. At that point, his band realized that he has been paid. But considering that I had a very good relationship with some of the members of the band, they said, look, we're not going to destroy the relationship we have with you because the lead singer messed up. What happened? One of the funniest things I've seen in my life. The band members had the lead singer well whipped backstage, beat him up seriously, and then said, okay, now let's go perform. And as funny as it may sound, the lead singer went on stage and was singing and dancing. And the whole audience was hyped and everybody was happy. But nobody really knew that this guy 5 minutes ago, he was having his behind it to him, And that happened. I've never worked with that guy again. I don't know, I've not seen him. I work with the band members are still here. But that specific individual, he dropped off. So be trustworthy, not only to yourself, but also to the individuals you work with, to your band members, to your crew, the whole 9 yards. Now, we're getting into the money part now. How do you make money as an artist? I've got about 8 points here. If I think of anyone on the fly, I'll let you guys know. Please, if you've got a pen, a paper, whatever the case may be, make sure that you're taking notes at this point. If you're not taking notes, it means you don't like to make money. And if you don't like to make money, I don't know what world you live in, because, yeah, anyway. So the first is royalties. And it's not in order of importance, mind you. One way, so one of the first ways is royalties. SOCAN, the other platforms in the States has got their own and stuff like that. Now, what happens is when your music is played in a club, when your music is played anywhere, if you go to SOCAN and say, my music was played at this club, my music I played at this festival, everywhere your music is mentioned or your music is played, you are due royalties from that point. So if you have a list of every place you've performed, and every month, so as an artist, you're pushing your music out. Hey, radio, can you play my music? Hey, this club, can you play my music? Hey, can I perform at this festival? You do all that. Now, after doing that, you take a list of everywhere that your music has been, the songs that have been played. And if you're registered with SOCAN, you now say, can I get royalties for performing at these places? What happens is SOCAN is going to contact, if you perform for Music Africa, SOCAN is, apart from the fee that we've paid you as an artist, SOCAN is going to contact us and say, can we get royalties for this artist? I'm going to have to pay royalties to SOCAN. And as a member of SOCAN, SOCAN is now going to pay you. That's one way you make money. You push your music out there for people to listen to it. But paying attention to where it is played in public. Know if you perform somewhere, at a club, whatever the case may be, pay attention to that. Communicate with SOCAN. This is all I've done this month. And usually they will just send the royalties to you. Okay, that's one. Two, there are so many shows, TV shows, usually media that look for good music. And I don't think any of us as artists has said, hey, I know this movie producer, or I know this TV producer that may be looking for a specific kind of music. I can pitch my music to that person. I don't think most of us do it. But I'll recommend, sell your music to movie producers. It may be a long shot, but do it. At some point, you may realize your music is being played on a TV show somewhere, or they've licensed your music to play on TV or radio, whatever the case may be. That's money coming into your pocket. The third way to make money is by playing gigs. I already mentioned to you guys, make sure you apply for as many gigs as possible. Believe me, when you're applying to perform for a local gig, you get paid less. When you apply to to perform at another gig, so out of province, you always get paid higher. So make sure you apply to perform at so many gigs. The more you perform, the more experience you get, and also the more money you get. The fourth is grants. That just too many grants out there, grant opportunities out there for artists. As a person, speaking personal experience, I don't know why African artists do not apply. I just, for the life of me, I don't know. We have more than 500 African artists just living in Toronto. More than 500, that's by far. But how many of the artists have said that grant that I can apply for? And there's this feeling that I get that if we apply for, we would not get the grant. No, that's wrong. So no, it's absolutely wrong. Just apply. Don't feel that if you apply, you will not get it. There are other people who have applied and they've gotten it. So please apply and you will get it. And if you miss, apply again. Speak to the program director. Hey, I applied for this grant. I never got, it was not approved. Could you please explain to me why? Say politely, I would like to learn so that I don't make the same mistakes. This is what my career looks like. This is what my career path looks like. Program officers are usually happy to give advice to people. Sometimes they'll get back to you in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks time, but they'll always get back to you. And they'll tell you what to do. And you may apply 3, 4, 5 times before you get it, but you will. Let me tell you something interesting. Now, this goes for events. I don't know how it is for artists, but I know that there are some granting bodies out there that are maxed out. When I say maxed out, is even though they'll announce to the public that the grant season is open, if as an event organizer, if I go apply for the grant as a new event, I will not get it. Simply, this grant opportunity says their budget is 3 million. And over the years, there are a set of organizations that have been applying that they already know these events happen every year. They like the work that these organizations are doing. So every year, these organizations get money. So no matter what you do as an outsider, when you're coming in, it's going to be very difficult for you to come in. At some point, they may say, hey, we're going to reduce everybody's money by, say, we're going to reduce by 5% so that we can bring somebody new in, but it's tight. But there's a rare occasion that can happen in which one of those solid event organizers doesn't apply, or the event just stops happening altogether. And when this happens, you that you've been applying on an annual basis, your application now comes in and you start receiving the money that this other organization, or some of the money that this other organization used to receive. So their refusal to not give you money, it's not because your grant application was not good enough. It's because the money is not there, they were maxed out. So it has got nothing to do with bias. It has got everything to do with somebody's hands were tied. Well, I cannot say that, I cannot say this is exactly what it is, but I know that there are so many factors that go into a grant refusal that having one negative response or 2 negative responses should not discourage anyone from applying for grants ever. Just keep applying. Someday, some door will be open. Now, collaborate. Another way to make money is to collaborate with other musicians. So the more you collaborate with musicians, what will happen is if they have got a show somewhere, there's a higher tendency for them to invite you to come perform with them. I'll give you an example now. We're hiring for Afrofest. And at some points, I'll tell an artist that, look, I have XYZ spots for solo artists, and I have 3 or 4 spots for collaborations. So if it is a solo artist that is coming in, no, I need 2 artists to work together. So it's only when you are collaborating with other artists that you can get some opportunities. Make sure that you've collaborated with quite a few artists, either on specific songs or on projects. You get seen more, people listen to you more, and by doing this, you gain more opportunities. If you're a songwriter, ask you can write songs and sell them. I know it can sound strange, but yeah, you can actually, if you know how to write songs and you really know what you're doing, look for music producers around. Say, I've written this song. Can you get an artist to perform the song? If it's a top music producer that you're able to score, that's great. If it's a local music producer that you're able to score, still good. But if you can write a song for an artist and the artist accepts to perform that song, then you're entitled to get royalties from any time that song is performed. Now, earlier on, we did a series on music law, and there is some information. It's on Afrofest YouTube page. And the YouTube page is at Afrofest. So in that workshop, the lawyer explained how you could make sure that you get your split at the beginning, so that when you're going in to claim your royalties, or if the song is performed somewhere, you can get royalties for being the person who wrote that song. Don't depend on only writing your own material. See if you can write material for others. And if you're particularly good at what you do, especially for those who play a specific instrument, you can offer music classes to kids, or if you're a singer of, say, I sing in the Cameroonian community, and I want to encourage other Cameroonians or other Nigerians or other Congolese, I can say, hey, I know so many people in the Congolese community who have got kids who may like to learn how to sing. I'm offering singing lessons in this. Can you come? And there's some people who may sign up. $100, $200 doesn't hurt, So offering singing lessons can go a long way to help you. This next one is interesting. I find, because it's not more on how to make money, but how not to waste money, which is know where and when to spend the money that you're making. One thing that confuses me most times is, why do artists do music videos? Like, really think, just take a deep think. If you're an artist, think of, why are you doing a music video? Somebody will say, I'm doing this music video because I would like my fans to see the music video. Okay, how many fans do you have? How many guaranteed fans do you have? Now, if you're going to apply for a show, you cannot really use the music video to apply for a show, because if it's to me, and I know the guys that I work with, none of them are going to consider the strength of a music video to be the strength of the artist, and based on that hire the artist. No, it doesn't happen. So if the artistic directors do not see the value of the music video, which is what is used to assess the quality of an artist, to give the artist gigs, then who is the artist actually making the music video for? I'm not saying that there's no value in video. So if I were an artist, what I would do, I don't know how much it costs to do a music video, maybe $2,000, $2,500, as low as that, and as high as $7,000. Take that money, go and get a band together. Practice, pay for rehearsals, practice, and prepare a 30-minute set. Then get a video crew, pay the video crew some money, and say, we're going to do, whether it be in a studio or at a show, whatever the case may be, we're going to do a show that is going to be recorded live. A 30-minute show, a 15-minute show. And instead of doing a music video, use that money to do a live show, or perform or record a live performance. It is going to serve you a whole lot more than the music video. The music video is great for public appeal. If you click on it on YouTube, the graphics are great, yeah. But the people who are clicking on that music video are doing nothing to your bottom line. The people who can help your bottom line are saying, we need live material. So please, I'm not saying music videos are not good. I love music videos, but ask yourself, why are you doing it? And do it for the right reasons. Excuse me. If your objective is to make money, then please, it's not valuable. If your objective is to please people and show people that you can go do a music video with great graphics, by all means, knock yourself out. And the last method that I have got here is please capitalize on platforms like YouTube. Grow your YouTube following as best you can to get to a point where you get paid by being on YouTube. They pay if you've got content that is interesting enough and you've got a specific number of views, you get paid by various platforms. So have a YouTube channel, make sure that you're posting on a regular basis, create interesting material, get people to gravitate towards what you're doing, the more eyeballs that come on your site, on your YouTube channel, the more it's crazy, because the more people that see you, the more people will see you. YouTube will lead more people to see you. And when that happens, you get paid a whole lot more. So yes, this is, I think I've spoken for 1 hour, almost 1 hour, 30 minutes. My head is ringing right now, too much speaking, but it has been great. I'm now open to taking all kinds of questions. So please, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you feel that I've not touched on that you would like me to touch on. So it may not only be on what we've spoken on here today, but any other questions within the music industry that you may be having some challenges with. If I'm not able to answer it for you right now, I will let you know. And then when out there, I'm not able to answer it, but when I get back, I'll do some research and I'll get back to you. So I have quite a few questions here. The first, where can we find the application, please? Okay. One thing that I didn't mention, that I don't know if I did. If I didn't, I'm sorry, but I will mention it right now. To all the artists out there, who are you following on your social media? You know, say you've got events like Afrofest, the Toronto Beaches, the Beaches Jazz Festival, Downtown Jazz Festival, all top event organizers. Please make sure you follow them on social media, because when they have events, they post these events on their social media pages. So if you're following them, when you see an event, if you go on the social media page, you will see what is coming up with these organizations, what they're doing, what they're about. And if it's something that you feel like you have to apply for, you can go ahead and do so. So make sure you follow very interesting people, event organizers, people who will help you in your journey on social media. But now to answer the question directly, my email address, if you just submissions@musicafrica.ca, I'm just going to type it down right now. So submissions@musicafrica.ca. Please make sure that you submit your bio, and your bio should contain your background. So what country you're representing. Please also submit a YouTube video of a live performance. It may be short, 30 minutes, it may be long, 2 hours, I don't really care. I would just like to see how you sound on stage. So your biography, and also a cover letter, just indicating that, hey, my name is XYZ. Your contact information should be on there, especially your phone number and your email address. All that information should be on there. Okay, there's a comment here that says to attract like-minded individuals. I'm not quite sure if that's a question, if that's a comment. Thank you for all the great points. And thank you, that's Amani. Thank you very much. Thanks for the wonderful information. Okay, Dennis, I see you. Thank you very much for listening to all this information. All right. Well, please, if you have any other questions, these are the questions that I've taken so far. I think I've answered them. But two things for Afrofest. So if you're an artist out there that you feel that you would like to perform with us, send your application to submissions@musicafrica.ca. Let me see. Yes, submissions@musicafrica.ca. Please make sure that you send your email. I think I sent, okay, I made a mistake and I sent the email out to all panelists only. Let me send it out to everybody. Just excuse me, please. All right. So that is the email address to send your application to. I'm closing down the applications on Friday this week because we actually need to plan for the event, which is going to take place between July 16th and 25th this year. So please make sure that all your applications are in before that date. Also, if you have any other questions that or things that you feel that you need my help with out of this setting, please, you can send me a quick email. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Also, just understand that it can be very busy with me sometimes, so I may not get back to you immediately. And if I don't, for some reason, I mean, if I forget the stuff or anything of that nature, please just send me another reminder and say, hey, you've not gotten back to me, whatever the case may be. And I'll go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then I'll get back in touch with you. This workshop series was sponsored by Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, TD Canada Trust, Factor, and Ontario Creates. We're ever so grateful for the support that they've given us, and that they continue to give us. We hope that you guys who stayed with us throughout this enjoyed it. And we're going to be doing another one. Once we're ready to do one, we will let you know.